Okay, another edition of Riding Home. This time after Georgia takes care of Kentucky 14-3, and I will let y'all start, and I'll chime in when you get done. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, I thought the defense played really well. Let's talk about a positive note first before we get into the quarterbacks and the offense and what they did. But defensively, held them to just 3 points. They got run on a little bit, probably more than all of us thought. But I thought they held strong. And again, the only thing that matters is how many points you give up, and it was just three. So I did think the defense played really well once again, even though they did get run on. And Zamir White, Dean, your guy, I thought he played fantastic. He ran the ball really, really hard. And if you have to give an MVP of the game, it probably goes to Zamir White, Dylan.
Yeah, definitely Zamir. That's best game of his career, hands down. And there was they were having a real tough time stopping him. And I thought it was kind of surprising to see how much they went to him. I don't think we've ever seen Kirby go to a running back as much as they did to Zamir in this game in maybe his time. Because even with Nick and Sony, they didn't go to him that much. DeAndre Swift, those guys were getting at most 20 carries in the game, but they gave Zamir 26 carries today. I thought that was just surprising to see. We just haven't seen him turn to a running back that much in a game like this.
Well, he carried the load really well. You said 26 carries, and I thought he, was another guy who ran harder and harder as the game went on.
Yeah, 26 carries, 136 yards. I know my lighting is off a little bit, but this is mainly about what we say more than what it looks like. I'm not sure why the lighting is so bad. But that wasn't surprising. They ran all night against Kentucky. They had a 215 yards rushing. And then I know y'all want to get your shots in on Stetson, so I'll let you go. Go first, Dylan.
Well, I don't know. He did not play well today. He didn't need to because they were running the ball so well, and they didn't really give him much of a chance. But again, the height shows when he's getting the ball batted down at the line. That's an issue. And I thought against Alabama, maybe it was just going to be against elite teams. But if it's happening against Kentucky, you have a serious issue. Because if they can just bat it up at all, you can see what happens. They're going to be turnovers. Some of them might not be. But that is a real issue.
Matt?
I thought that we said all week, in order for Georgia to lose this game, they needed multiple turnovers on offense and a few blunders on defense. Well, the defense didn't give up any blunders, but he did throw 2 interceptions, and none of them went back to the house or anything, and I don't think Kentucky scored on either one of the turnovers, which is nice. But if he's the best guy, I just don't see them beating Alabama again with Stetson, and I think they're going to have to score a lot more than 14 points if they want to get past a Florida team who, and I don't know what we're going to see from Florida tonight. Again, I think they have a really good chance to lose to Missouri, but they're going to have to put up more than 14 points if they're going to get the victory. I do believe in that.
Yeah, I know what everyone's going to say this week, but the guy is their starting quarterback. It's what it is. Everybody can talk about how they want someone else in there, but it's not happening. It's clearly not happening. That should tell you all you need to know. It looked to me like the backup was still a Mathis, so no one's coming to save this team. Stetson's the starting quarterback. It's that's what it is, and I think that for me, they had they had 8 offensive drives. There are times when you have 8 offensive drives in games. So when they had the ball, they were pretty efficient. The starting drive was nothing but, hey, this is what we're going to do to you all game long. Just narrowly missed on converting that third down in their own territory on the second drive of the game, which was pretty late in the first quarter. But, the interception to me is where that's the issue. The first interception, not the second one. The second one, to me, he said he threw it away, which he was trying to hit the freshman for a long gain there, and I can't remember who it was. I think it was
Marcus Roseman.
Yeah, Marcus Roseman. He just stopped running. Well, that's not on Stetson, so that's no good. But you look at their drive chart: touchdown, punt, interception, field goal block, touchdown, interception, punt, and then the last one was just running the clock out basically. So not enough possessions. Stetson's the quarterback. I know personally I'm tired of hearing the complaining. I'm not talking about on this broadcast. I'm talking about people in general. So, what I would say is you look around college football today and you see that you need to win. And if your guy is, I mean, they're not running Stetson out there because it's a good story. They're not running Stetson out there because, he's their best quarterback. We're coming into the most important game of the season. He's going to be the starter. Unless he gets injured, he's going to play the whole game. And, I don't think Kirby needs to kind of like be snarky or giggle about it, whatever it is, when anybody asks him a question about the quarterback. But Stetson has to play better, and he cannot turn the ball over. The biggest thing is he cannot turn the ball over. Other than that, to me, it really wasn't that bad. I mean, I didn't think. I think people have locked into what they think, and that's it. And there's no, he was 19 of 13. By my math, that's 4 incompletions.
It's good math.
I went to public school, so I don't know, but he's got to play. It's both. He is the guy. So I'm not saying he's the guy for the next 4 years. I'm saying he's the guy right now. They won this game with 14 points. That was not great, but that's not exclusively on him necessarily. It was just that one turnover. That was, to me, it's too much. He's turning the ball over too much right now. And if it's because of his size, okay. If it's because of his arm strength, okay. But what it is that he can't turn it over. We've seen him play 3 times pretty good. And now we've seen him play 2 times that were not ideal. I don't think Kentucky was as bad as Alabama in terms of the turnovers. But he's the guy. And people can complain about it all they want to or whatever. It's not going to change. And if people want to go at Kirby for that, that's fine. But I mean, he's not playing someone not to win and not to lose. They're going out there to win. They think he's the best chance to win.
I think it was the situation where the first interception happened. If they score right there, they're really putting their throat on Kentucky and saying that's it. It was 1st and goal. I like the play call. If he catches that ball and they execute, he's walking into the end zone. I like the play call. And the fact that it was another batted ball that was intercepted, where it was on the field, the situation of the game, it wasn't just a normal interception or turnover. That's something that can't happen right there on that side of the field. Again, because they ran it all the way down.
It can't happen, but it's happened once in the last 2 games. And that, it was a really good play by the kid from Kentucky, just like last week it was a really good play by the kid from Alabama. But, they're not going to change the quarterback. I mean, this team is probably not going to win the national championship. You know who else is probably not going to after watching today again? Clemson. So they're struggling too. And that's with a guy that's probably going to go first round. Not today, he didn't play like that, but there's no team right now outside of Alabama, because Ohio State's not played enough. There's no team outside of Alabama right now that's really locked in and playing well. And Georgia is included in that. I want to see the Gators play tonight, Dylan, but it's not going to change. There's not someone else. I mean, if there was someone else, they'd be playing them.
Well, I think it's fair to say that Stetson is the guy, but I think it's also fair to say that he needs to play better.
He's got to play better. Yeah, it's both.
Those truths. Yeah. And because 2 interceptions again is just not acceptable in this game. He can't be turning the ball over multiple times, or else you're going to lose games. And
they turn it over twice to Florida, they'll probably lose because there's only so many possessions. Now, well, we don't need to necessarily fast forward. Go ahead and say what you're going to say, Dylan.
Well, yeah, it's just Stetson needs to play better, and we've seen him play better.
Exactly.
this would be a lot more concerning, and maybe they should make a switch if this is how Stetson had been playing all year. But we know what he can do when the offense is working well and when he is playing to his full capability. Think about Auburn, think about Tennessee, think about Arkansas. Those games he played very well in, I thought. And
how many turnovers did he have in those games?
0, right?
There you go.
Yeah. And so he can play well enough to be the best quarterback on this team. The past 2 weeks, I wouldn't say he has, but that doesn't mean he's not their best option, and that doesn't mean they need to make a switch. That means he needs to play better.
Bingo.
I thought it was important for him to play better going into Florida next week. The last thing I think people wanted to see was him struggle against Kentucky, and then you have the Gators in 7 days. You want him to be playing with some confidence going into that game and playing with some chemistry and playing his best football. That doesn't seem to be what's going on right now. But Dean, a lot of the questions we're going to get on our site, and I know we're going to hear from friends or whoever, is about JT Daniels. We saw that he was 3rd string. He wasn't even the second guy in. I think people just want to know, is it a knee issue? Is he
I have no
behind?
idea.
Yeah,
I don't know.
We're going to keep hearing that.
I don't
and that's
know.
The big question.
I honestly, I don't know. I was going to say I don't care. I do care. It's just like y'all. I mean, like this is we're halfway through the season now. They played their 5 of their 10 games. They're about to play the most important game of the year. If they were getting JT Daniels ready for this season, he would have gotten ready for this season. That's it. So they've got what they've got, and we've spent so much energy and calories, I guess you could say, on talking about this quarterback. It's Stetson Bennett, and that people have to come to the realization that's what it is. I mean, he's turned it over 5 times in the last 2 games. That is the reason why they have struggled on offense the way they have, number one. Number two, that is the reason why people are complaining, which they have the right to do. But if you're not going to take him out after struggling like he did at Alabama, which they didn't, I wouldn't say he struggled today. That's not the way I would put it. But there was not a lot of production. Then again, when you are gashing them for 5 yards a carry,
which was smart.
Shouldn't
they
throw
should
the
have
ball.
kept running the ball.
I agree. I thought they should.
Yeah.
There were times they should have thrown it even less or fewer. I should say. I thought Kentucky. Listen, I thought Rodriguez really was a good running back for Kentucky, but Kentucky doesn't have the skill guys. The quarterback was a disaster. He was 15 of 25 for 100 yards. I mean, like, that's just not getting it done. They were averaging 6 yards a reception. That's terrible. Georgia with almost 15. So, if you had not had that one particular, the first interception, we wouldn't even be talking about this right now. Well, yeah, we would, because it's what we do and it's what we do as a society. But one play changes a game, and it did there. And I don't know why it made me think of this, but Georgia's got to finish off sacks. I mean, there were bunches of them to be had today, and they didn't do it, Dylan.
Yeah, and to be fair, Gatewood was relatively elusive, but that's also no excuse. I feel like we saw this issue a little bit with Bo Nix as well, that, they get a hand on him, they make a move, but they just can't finish it. And when you get a hand on him, you need to have reinforcements there to bring him down with you. I mean, because that makes such a huge difference in the game. Just to get a hand on him is not enough. And on defense, if you make a sack, it changes the entire possession for the team. And to miss out on several opportunities to get a sack is unacceptable as well.
And they're going to go against Kyle Trask next week, who's big, elusive and mobile too. They're going to have to get him down.
I wouldn't call him mobile.
Well, I guess. But when you have Eric Stokes coming off the boundary on a blitz and no one touches you, you've got to get that sack. Nolan Smith, I think, missed a sack. Aziz did. Eric Stokes did. It's too many. They're going to have to finish.
They wound up with 4 sacks, but it should have been 7, or just call it 6, whatever it was. The thing about it is, though, man, is that I don't know whose defense is better, but Florida's defense is not good, and if Georgia's going to run for 200 yards against Florida, Florida's going to lose. And maybe it is that if Georgia turns it over twice and still runs for 200 yards that they'll win. I don't know. But if you don't turn it over and you go for 200 yards, which they probably will, then they'll win the game. And I know how this goes, and I'll let Dylan go right after this, but I know how this goes. People immediately get their negativity and Larry Munson on, and I get it. It's fine. But the problem is that, for Georgia, their game is running the ball. They made a mistake against Alabama. They cost themselves a chance to win that game by stopping running the ball. Stetson Bennett is the French fries in the value meal. He's not the main course. And so he's going to have to get the ball to the playmakers, and usually those guys are the running backs. So I just think, next week the whole conference is on the line. And if Georgia wins that game, the East is pretty well settled, Dylan. But they're going to have to get after the quarterback for sure. They're not going to hold Florida to 3 points. I don't think. But this is a good defense, and there are criticisms to be found everywhere when you only win 14-3.
I will say the way Georgia was able to run the ball, and specifically Zamir White today, is very encouraging for going up against Florida, because they're going to have to make these long, sustained drives.
That doesn't seem to be a problem. It's
Exactly.
it's the turnovers in the red zone, Stetson. I mean, that's what it is.
And exactly. So that's the thing. There were good things in this game.
Yes.
14-3 is not a great score, and
No.
I think if you didn't watch the game and you look at the score, you'd say, okay, Georgia probably played bad, and there were things that they did poorly, but they seemed to have a good grasp on the game. I thought. Yeah. At all times. I never thought, okay, Kentucky might overtake Georgia and take momentum here. I don't think they ever seized it. At least personally, I never felt that way.
Did you feel it, Matt?
No, I thought Georgia was in control the whole time because I just didn't think they were going to give up any big plays to Kentucky's offense. I just said eventually they're going to break open on offense and this game will be over going into the fourth. That's what I was kind of expecting. And they didn't put the game away till later in the fourth. But I do think Kentucky's defense is better than Florida's, and I think Kentucky's offensive line is better than Florida's. And it will help Stetson with George Pickens back. If he's back next week, that will help. Kenny McIntosh coming back will help. He was out a couple weapons, but he's still got to play better, and hopefully those weapons will help him play better against Florida.
Well, I'll tell you, what you just lined out there, if that's what's going on, then Florida's not going to win. I mean, I hate to be the person that's not negative, but if Florida's offensive line is not as good as Kentucky's offensive line,
I don't think it is.
Yeah. Well, if I think you said their defense is not as good as the Cats.
Not from what I saw today. I thought Kentucky played hard. I mean, Georgia did run over them, but I thought their defense still made some plays. I think their defensive, their nose guard beat up Trey Hill a couple times.
A lot. No,
yeah.
That was.
and the running backs made plays when a lot of times the hole wasn't there. So that's why I think the running backs played really well. But I thought Kentucky got some penetration here and there, but just couldn't get those tackles for no gain or a loss. That turned into 4 or 5, 6 yards.
Dylan, I don't know how much of it you watched, but there were a huge amount of holes today. I mean, that's why you wind up with 200 yards rushing.
Yeah, the offensive line played extremely well. And when there weren't holes, I mean, Zamir was busting through arm tackles. He was hard to bring down. I mean, that fourth and 1.
Yeah.
The 22 touchdown run. I mean, that was great. I mean, there was a small hole. I didn't think it was that big, and he just zoomed right through. And after that, it was just nothing. No one was catching him.
He showed some shake and bake, too, that we haven't seen from Zamir.
I think he's their best running back. I mean, I think the other guys are good for sure. I think James Cook narrowly missed taking 1 or 2 to the house today. They're just the criticism. I think you want to start with Stetson. Okay, my criticism of Stetson is the turnovers. The criticism though of the Georgia offense, generally speaking, is they are grinders. They are not explosive players, so they can't just blow teams out. That's not who they are. So. These games are all going to be much more gut-wrenching than people want them to be. So, but you look at James today, just shy of 100 total all-purpose yards, if I'm not mistaken. No, they had 101. Just a real quick math this. So he's going for almost 10 yards a play. James Cook. Not a lot to the other guys. So Kyrus had 3 catches. Darnell Washington had 1. Burton, who needed to get out of bounds there, only had 1. But, and Kirby's big thing, and, I don't know. So his big thing was you got to take what they give you. It seemed like they weren't giving you the wide receivers at all. And it looked like they were, no one wants to give the run game, but that's what Georgia was taking.
No doubt. I mean, the second interception he threw to Marcus Roseman, he was completely covered. I don't know how he was going to make that play anyway if he keeps running that route, but he was completely covered. I'd have to go back and watch, to see how open some of the receivers were, but it didn't look like he missed open guys or anything like that. Even Darnell Washington, that guy was all over him.
That was a great throwing catch, though, with Darnell. So, the guy, they were not wide open like they've been in the past. Like they were against Alabama, they had some guys open. They were just open. This didn't seem or at least it didn't seem as obvious to me. Then again, they only threw the ball 13 times. Yeah. It's just not a lot, Dylan.
No, and because they didn't need to. I mean, let's acknowledge the first drive. I don't know if we've even really talked much about it.
It was a beating.
Yeah, it's just they showed that did they even need to throw the ball once? I think everyone on Twitter was asking that
They
question.
didn't throw. They didn't throw the whole first drive.
Yeah, it was 12 plays for almost the whole length of the field, just straight handoffs every single time. It's just they didn't need to throw the ball that much, and that's 13 throws in the game is really not that much.
But
and,
wait, it occurs to me, and I'll go to Dylan first, that a week ago we complained that he had 40 throws, which I think we all think is too many. And then this week it's only 13, and we're saying it's too few. I think if you're Georgia, you'd want to throw 15 or fewer passes, Dylan.
No, I don't think it's too few. I think it's just there's a small sample size. So, we find the few throws and nitpick them, a great amount. Yeah. Against Alabama, there's 40 throws. So we're not going to remember every single throw. But 13 throws, we're going to remember every single one. And the bad ones are going to stick out in our mind a lot more. And so, especially when it's a turnover. So 13 is fine when you're running the ball this well.
But you want them to go 10 for 13 or 11 for 13 with a touchdown and no picks instead of 0 touchdowns, 2 picks. And what was he, 8 for 13, 9 for 13, something like that?
He was 9 for 13, 131 yards, 2 interceptions, no touchdowns.
It seems like more yards that I thought. Yeah. I guess the long one to Darnell was probably the bigger one.
That was not the longest throw. His longest throw was the throw and catch, the throw and run to Cook for 46 yards. Those are explosive plays for sure.
The camera guy on TV absolutely blew that one.
Yeah, I heard a lot of complaints about Jordan Rodgers as well. Was he bad?
I don't pay attention to them. I got my own brain work, and I figure out what the game is going. I don't need Jordan Rodgers to tell me what's happening. So I didn't really.
What was going on with the officials spotting the ball today? That was not a good day for them.
No, I'm glad you brought that up, especially late in the game when Georgia's trying to end the game there, and they gave him like a whole yard short. Looked at it at the reviewed it for 5 seconds and said, "Okay, yeah, we kind of screwed that one up, Dylan."
I feel like one thing we do need to talk about today is the injuries. I mean, yes. Jordan Davis in a sling, right?
That's what it looked like to me. You had Jordan out, Rochester out,
Quay
Walker, Ben Cleveland, Lewis Cine.
Tyreek Stevenson at the end
was banged up. I don't know if he was out.
Yeah.
It was a costly game for Georgia for sure. I mean, when you win, you're not going to apologize and send those back. But it was. I mean, those guys are all going to need to play. Florida has an explosive offense. If they can run the ball, it will make them really dangerous. They have been okay running the ball, but they're obviously it's Trask and the tight end that are so much difficulty. If you make it to where, I don't care who you are, if you make it to where someone has to throw it as much as Florida's had to throw it to win this year, it becomes tricky, man. You want a run game, and if Georgia has got those guys out, that will help the Gators. I mean, the big thing, though, Dylan, was that Kirby says during the thing, hey, we get 85 scholarships. Those guys are going to have to play in the SEC at some point.
Sure, but, I mean, Jordan Davis is a all-SEC kind of guy.
Yeah.
Missing him, I think even, what was it, in 2018? He went out after maybe the LSU game or something. He got hurt for a little bit. And that made a huge difference. And he was a freshman then. We're talking about him as a junior now. He is a very central part of this defense, especially in the run game. And without him, Florida has a lot more opportunity to run the ball. And Rochester, too.
Again, they only give up 3 points today without their best defensive lineman and other injuries. But, yeah, they missed him today, and Kentucky's not running the ball nearly as well as they did if he were in there and healthy. And, again, they did give up some yards on the ground. And Rodriguez is a really good running back. I remember him as a recruit out of Ola High School. He was a rising seniors kid. Happy that he had a nice game. But if Jordan Davis is in there, those holes aren't nearly there. And I did think Georgia had a little trouble setting the edge at times, and he was able to get out off tackle and make some plays. So got to clean that up. But Florida's going to hurt Georgia in the air more than they are in the run, which is the opposite of what they saw from Kentucky today.
All right, we're going to wrap it up here. Georgia 14-3 win over the Cats. We'll see y'all in Jacksonville. I'm sure there will be much consternation about who the quarterback will be, although we already know who it will be. It's all on the line against the Gators in Jacksonville. We'll see you down there.